I went to the pyramids today, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this episode of Chi Life. But John, I hear you say, aren't you in Europe at the moment? And aren't the pyramids in Egypt or maybe Central or South America, depending on what pyramids we're talking about? Well, today I went to the Bosnian pyramids, which a lot of people haven't heard about. But as you know, one of the things that I take great interest in my life is energy, living energy. Talk a lot about Qigong in particular on this channel. But when I'm traveling, I often do like to take the opportunity to visit places which are known or at least reputed to have some interesting energy there. And the Bosnian pyramids is one of these places. So it's a bit of a quirky, you could possibly even say controversial sort of a place. And in this vlog, I'll tell you about my visit there and a bit about the story of the Bosnian pyramids. So basically, the Bosnian pyramids were discovered a couple of decades ago at this point, and by a American Bosnian, so a Bosnian person who'd been living in the States, who basically saw this hill that is very sort of triangular shaped like a pyramid. And to be fair, if you look at what a number of different pyramids in different parts of the world, not so much the ones in Egypt because it's so dry there, but some of the ones in Central or South America, and look at what they looked like before they were excavated and had archaeological work done on them and all cleaned and tidied up. And you could see how this sort of pyramid-shaped hill in Bosnia could be a pyramid. It's got the underlying shape and structure of a pyramid. So he was convinced that this was a pyramid, and so went further looking for other evidence of that this might be the case in the surrounding area, and found some tunnels. Now the tunnels are a little distance away from the pyramid. So there's this one main pyramid which he calls the Pyramid of the Sun, and then there's some other hills in the surrounding area which he says are other pyramids too. But then, maybe a few kilometers away, found this network of tunnels in the ground as well, which he has sort of taken to be further evidence of an ancient civilization building pyramids and doing things in this area. So a few things have come out of this. For one thing, that the town that these pyramids were discovered in was struggling. After the war here, its industry was kind of destroyed, and the town was really struggling. And having this discovery in the nearby area has reinvigorated the town, turned it into a bit of a tourist destination. So that's been a really good thing for the people in the area here. The other thing that this discovery or this claim of these pyramids here has done is that it's become a bit of a political issue in some ways as well. Because if this is a pyramid, it would be the oldest of the known pyramids. It would be 30,000 years old, and also the largest of the pyramids compared to any of the others known anywhere in the world. And so some people have taken this on as kind of an issue of national pride, because it sort of brings great importance to the location of Bosnia if it's got the oldest and largest pyramid, and maybe would make us rethink world history and all of this sort of thing, and put Bosnia sort of right at the center of things. Unfortunately, on the other hand, geologists and archaeologists who have had the opportunity to explore this further tend to largely be in agreement that it's just a natural land feature. And so there are those who are, very, very much in favor of promoting this story of this being a pyramid, and then others who apparently some of the geologists and other scientists, it's to the level that they refuse to even discuss it because they just say, look, there's no merit in even talking about this. So anyway, I knew all this before going to visit the pyramids, but I thought I would go and have a look anyway because it is an interesting local story. And quite aside from whether it's a man-made pyramid or not, and in fact whether the tunnels in the earth there are man-made or not, natural features also can have their own special and interesting and, quite valuable, beautiful energy. And to be honest, or for myself, most of the time, I enjoy the energy from natural features in the land more than that from man-made things. Both are very interesting to explore, and sometimes there are natural features which then there has been human intervention to further guide and shape things to affect the flow of energy, and that can also be interesting. And certainly some of the man-made structures that do interesting things with energy, they can be interesting too. But for the most part, I really enjoy just the natural energy that we find in our environment. So I was interested to check it out anyway. So the first place we went to was the tunnels, and had a guide take us through there. And these tunnels are made of basically the earth. It's a really loose sort of aggregate compound, sedimentary aggregate compound, but like very, very loose. And they have it reinforced with wooden timbers, beams, and so on for the area that you walk through. And they tell this story that no, the tunnels were already there, and they're just uncovering them because there's this looser material in some of the tunnels as well that they're clearing out, which is true. There's areas that are looser than others, and they take this as evidence that it's sort of a man-made thing. But of course others would say, well, the tunnels were probably formed by water flowing through there, and the looser material that then filled into the tunnels was also probably from water flowing through there at different points, because again the main tunnels themselves, the walls, it's a very loose material. But they talk about some interesting things in there. Apparently there's a really, really high level of negative ions in the tunnels, which of course those can be very beneficial for our health, and some other aspects of energy in there that they say are very very high as well. And look, there is some nice energy in there. Is that evidence of it being man-made? Not necessarily, because again, lots of these things just occur naturally as well. They point to a few other things in the tunnels too, like there's these rocks that they say are ceramic rather than just rocks, which I don't know. I would have to dig a lot further into that claim as to whether that's accurate or not. They certainly look a lot like they're just rocks. And they say some of the areas with the loose aggregate, they've had rocks piled up, in front of them before they come to them. It's like, yeah, even if the tunnels were naturally formed, it could be that earlier generations of people went into the naturally formed tunnels, and that's because they've also found like evidence of like burnt wood amongst some of the gravelly stuff. It's like, yeah, people may have gone into the tunnels. It doesn't mean they created them. I don't know. And even if they did create them, I'm not sure of there being a great significance to that. There were some rocks that have some glyphs on them. So again, evidence that people have been into those tunnels, certainly. But is that particularly significant? I don't know. Not sure that it is. But there is certainly some nice natural energy in the tunnels. And then after that, we went out to basically this place has become like a little bit of a hub for kind of new age type things, or people who are interested in new age and energy and things like that. And fair enough, if there's some interesting energy in this piece of land. But in this park around there, they've sort of really played into that more, and they've got some circles of stone and some labyrinths and different things all in the park around there as well. And yeah, a whole lot of them all combined together for people who might be visiting and might also be interested in those sorts of things. And then finally, after having a look around the park, we went to the largest and the most clearly pyramidal shaped hill of the collection, which they refer to as the Pyramid of the Sun, and walked up to the top of it. And it was quite a steep walk. You can see, like, if you look at me right now, I've got a whole lot of sweat. This is from, I've had a backpack on my back. You can see the sweat from under the straps of the backpack. So it's very hot here today. And so, yeah, walking up that hill, it was quite a walk. And again, so at the top of the hill, there's a little bit of a fortification, which was apparently an outpost from during the Ottoman times. And right up at the very top of this pyramid-shaped hill, there is a rising. For me and my perception of the energy, there is some rising energy, rising from the peak of that hill. Does that mean it's man-made? Again, not necessarily. That could easily also just be from the natural shape of the hill. Whether it's man-made or natural, the shape that the earth is formed into, the different materials, affects the way the energy flows. And you would expect a shape that rises up to a point like that to affect the energy flow and to cause a rising energy. But there certainly was some rising energy there up at the top. So what are my thoughts on it? I did have in mind, as before I recorded this vlog, that I would leave it very open to interpretation, to let you decide for yourself whether you think maybe these were man-made, if they are in fact, pyramids in the, man-made sense of the word, or whether they might just be natural. I don't think I've probably succeeded all that well in doing that. You can probably tell from the way I've spoken about things. I'm very, very skeptical about these being man-made. I think there's a lot of, wanting them to be something maybe more or different than they are. Because, if you look hard enough things and you kind of squint your eyes, you can see what you want to see. It's a little bit like looking at the clouds going past and seeing shapes in the clouds. You can find the shape you want to find. And the same in something like this. And there are people with vested interests in wanting to make this into something of archaeological significance. But regardless of that, like I said, natural land features can have some interesting energy, and there certainly was some nice energy there. And it's an interesting, quirky little place to visit and to hear the story and to see what has sprung up around it. So I enjoyed my visit. I'm glad I did it. Maybe if you happen to be in Bosnia, if you happen to come to Sarajevo and you're interested in, if you're interested in energy, you might like to go out there for yourself and see what you feel of the energy in those areas. And if you're also just interested in cultural history and some quirky things, you might enjoy visiting it for that reason too. All right, that's my vlog for today. I look forward to seeing you on another one soon.